When I begin my cylinder, I'm going to first start with the ellipse that is the top of my cylinder. Then I'm going to draw my walls straight down, and I'm going to try to draw another ellipse that looks exactly the same as the first ellipse. I draw them multiple times, that way wherever my most common line is usually the line that I keep, and I erase the extra information. I don't just draw a flat bottom onto the bottom of this because it is rounded and you should be able to see that. So I'm going to erase the extra lines I don't need. I'm going to fix up anything that I don't think is quite right and erase any of the extra information that I no longer need. From here, I'm going to start placing in my values. I'm going to work on the top of my ellipse because I know that it is getting the most amount of light. So I'm going to place in kind of this mid-tone on the top here. Once I am satisfied with the top, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start working down at the bottom part of my cylinder. I'm going to start on the far edge, and it's going to be a little bit of a mid-tone. Then it's going to turn into a highlight, so it should get lighter. Then it goes back to a mid-tone in the middle, then a shadow as it gets further away from the light source, and a mid-tone once again. So once I have the areas mapped in quickly from left to right, how I wanted them to be, now I'm going to take my values all the way down to the top and bottom of the cylinder. This will allow me to have been more accurate because I quickly mapped in my values. Once I have gone through and done this, maybe I realize my shadow needs to be a little bit darker. It's not as dark as it should be. Maybe I'm going to realize that my highlight's not as light as it should, so I erase some of the information and reshade it in a lighter value than what I previously had. So I'm making corrections as I go. Just because I placed in a value doesn't mean that I am done. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to clean up my edges. I'm going to get rid of the fuzzy aspects and I'm going to try to avoid outlining. I'm going to let those lines blend in if they're a little bit darker than what is near them or around them. So I'm going through fixing up my edges on the sides and on the bottom as well. At this point, you're going to notice I spent a little bit of time just getting rid of my outlining and fixing up some of the fuzzy edges or places that don't look very clear that are fading into the background and shouldn't be. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time, make sure that I've got things as I want them. I'm checking back with the worksheet, seeing what corrections that I need to make. Once I'm done with my corrections, I am going to go back and I'm going to do my cast shadow. My cast shadow should be darkest where the cast shadow and the cylinder or the object actually meet. As it gets further away from me, it might start getting a little bit fuzzier, out of focus, and it's going to get a little bit lighter. It should still be dark, and my cast shadow should be the darkest value on this part of my drawing.